Hello and welcome to the Pole Position podcast on Let's Talk Sports YouTube channel with myself, Jamie Davies, and my co-host, Jack Price. And we are reviewing the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it was, obviously, with only 2 races into the 2018 calendar, it is no doubt the highlight of the season so far because Sebastian Vettel won his 2nd race in a row. And he has pretty much got Ferrari on pole position. See, I did that. Pole position to obviously contend for the World Championship and Constructors' Championship for this season. And obviously, yet again, Lewis Hamilton getting 3rd while Valtteri Bottas got the runners-up medal. It is really going to be an interesting season because Sebastian Vettel is doing very well in that Ferrari car in a race where he even said on the team radio when he won the race, he literally said, there was no tyres left. How have we won this? Yeah. And obviously doing his good old Italian language that he's clearly learnt over his 3-year stay so far at the Italian team. He was very happy, and obviously races like that were just phenomenal, and the tactics worked at the end of the day. And for Mercedes, it's another race where they haven't won. But I'll keep saying it again, Jack. There's 19 races remaining, and it really is all about a long battle, not the short battles.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, and certainly we'd like to see all the races for the rest of the season be like this, and not so much like Melbourne. But yeah, it was a great race, great race. It was probably 9 out of 10 in terms of scoring it. It had everything, and I don't know what it is. It just makes having a race like a night race just makes it a bit more of a spectacle. I don't know if that's just me, but I sort of enjoy the night races more, and I think it really does add a different thing to F1, and it had drama. We'll talk probably about that a little bit later on, and the strategies as well. For both of the top teams to have different strategies for all the cars, makes it different as well. They're not all going in and pitting at the same time and coming out at the same time, and there's no it'd be a bit boring if they all came in at the same time. So they mixed it up a little bit, and that's good as well. It adds a bit, and I said earlier in the Let's Talk Sports show is that if you're never watched F1 before and you've come in to watch this race as a first one, what a great way to start your F1 watching, because what a great race it was.
I think it was funny as well because Bahrain, I've said it, where we need more circuits like it, because if we have loads of street circuits, because I just keep thinking it's going down that route where every new circuit that comes in, where's the overtaking? Where's the gap for the drivers to get the opportunity? Because what's the point? I don't want to watch, because let's be honest, after the first few laps, all the cars are together, but then they start to slowly separate because that is the true speed of these cars. Mercedes are at the front with Ferrari, then maybe Red Bull, but then it gets further and further back and then more and more seconds behind each other. And I just find with this, at least, okay, that is going to happen, but at least on the circuit, you can have overtakes. Why is this a problem? I mean, Bahrain is a great circuit. It's been around since 2004. That's 14 years. So it's clearly doing a good impression, not just for the race, but for the fans. And let's be honest, the money, that's why it's there. Yeah. And obviously being a night race, it was a great race.
Yeah, well, it was the first Middle East track, wasn't it, to go onto the grids, onto the calendar.
Yeah.
Sorry. So it's done wonders for the calendar, and it might not be the best for the drivers to drive around. They don't get the sort of adrenaline as much as they do maybe at Belgium in Spa or Monza, but. It's still a great race, and I agree with you with the fact that a lot more street circuits are coming in, and they're not focusing on what overtakes. They're sort of focusing on trying to bring cities involved into F1. They were talking about a London street circuit, and they've been talking about, was it Brooklyn and New York and all that?
That all went.
That was talked about as well. So, but I think. In Bahrain yesterday, I think Pierre Gasly finished 4th, which was great, don't get me wrong, but he finished 50 seconds behind the top
the
3.
Mercedes, yeah.
And Vettel, so, there is a gap there, but that doesn't matter when the midfield are all overtaking each other. So there's more stuff going on in the middle, you forget about the 50-second gap. You're more intrigued on the overtakes that are going on at the back of the field. So as long as there's stuff going on, people aren't going to moan about the speed of all the cars. But if you have a street circuit where they're just following each other around, that's obviously going to become a factor.
I think it's funny as well because with it being a night race, you see the sparks all over the place. I know at the start of the first few laps where they all come down the straight, there was just sparks everywhere. I nearly forgot which car's what because it's like, oh my god, there's just so much going on. Why is it happening always in Bahrain? All this sparks. Is it the floor or what? Just a basic question, really. I've always wondered why that is.
I don't know whether they lower. We could be getting this wrong, and if we are, please let us know in the comments.
We have degrees, but not in F1. Is that a thing?
I'm not sure whether they lower the ride heights. And whether it's down to the whole downforce, higher top speed, and all that sort of things, because they lower the ride heights on some certain tracks, and I think obviously the lower you drop the car, the more chance of it's going to do to hit hit the tarmac. So I think that's sort of the case. But again, with it being dark, it shows the sparks more. And I don't know about you in terms of this, but I didn't really seem that bothered with the halo thing. It didn't bother me that it was there, and even though it was a night race, it didn't worry me that it was there. I didn't get I can't see because the halo. It didn't bother me.
I feel as though I'm just used to it now, like we are with. I mean, let's be honest. No one likes changes.
No,
I still don't like the halo, obviously, but no, I know what you mean. It's maybe because it was a night race, I didn't recognize it, but still a good race, didn't it? No springs hit someone's head anyway, but we did have a broken leg. The race was that good. We had a broken leg. When they say go break a leg.
Not that. But hopefully, not hopefully, but luckily he's okay. So,
well, funny enough, we asked on our Let's Talk Sport Twitter account, which you can follow on the link below, which is at Let's Talk Sport 12, and we actually asked who will win the F1 Bahrain Grand Prix, and you were all right. Well, 46% of you were correct. You went for Vettel, 31% went for Raikkonen. Really, Bottas 15%. And the other 8%, with one of them commenting Lewis Hamilton below. But the day belonged to Sebastian Vettel, and for him, what a race win that was. Because, okay, he's won 50 races now, hasn't he?
I think it was, wasn't it?
50, I think it was, yeah. And he's level with some of the greats as well, and he'll win more races up for sure. But are these first two wins going to get him a bit carried away? Because this time last year he won Bahrain, he won Australia, and I'm just going to keep saying it's still early days, but every race win is vital. And looking at Lewis Hamilton, he'll be happy with third as well. I'm sure.
I think it's Hamilton 17 points off Vettel.
Yeah, and that's I mean,
it's not a race win away, is it?
No, but it could extend.
Yeah, and I think that obviously for Ferrari it's important to hit the ground running. Obviously for every team it is, but I think more so for Ferrari for how they fell off in the second half of last season. I think it was important for them to get back to winning ways, and I think both are doing that. Kimi Raikkonen's still looking good. Unfortunately for him, obviously the pit stop drama that happened meant he was out of the race, but he was looking pretty good as well. So yeah, for Vettel, the sort of strategy didn't really fall for them. They went for the soft strategy, and obviously Mercedes went for the medium tyre, and they were going to go long. And I think Sebastian Vettel said we got quite lucky. We sort of shot ourselves in the foot in terms of strategy, with the fact that we would have to pit again. Probably it was a two-stop strategy that they were going on, whereas the Mercedes team were going for a one-stop. So Vettel had to drag them tyres out to the very end of the race, and luckily he got there. But as he said on the radio, with 10 laps to go, these tyres are gone. So he really had to work hard to get that race win. And with Bottas, was he 0.6 hundredths of a second? Really behind him at the end. So
right behind him
at the end. So yeah, he really did have to work hard. And I think that's it. I think it is more enjoyable when you get
it's on the last lap.
Yeah, when you get a win like that and you're right on the edge of losing it, or in that sense.
We see in MotoGP a lot these days. Every final lap, it's always two riders going for it. And I kept saying to myself, if this was F1, I don't think we'd even talk about the race being boring, because you can nearly predict each race and say it's not going to be decided till the last lap or the last cross of the finish line. And it really was unpredictable, and if this was happening in F1 in the next few months, it's so exciting to watch.
Yeah, but again, that comes down to which circuit it is, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the fact that the cars, like Daniel Ricciardo said,
Monaco
cars get so wide now that it's difficult to get two cars side by side on a piece of circuit on track. So we'd love to see that, but whether it happens on each track, it's doubtful. So
even Valtteri Bottas got fastest lap and it still didn't help him get first. I'm not saying, obviously, Alonso will get fastest lap and he'll still finish 13th. So, it doesn't really mean too much. But even so, Bottas really did give it a good go. He didn't get his 4th race win in his F1 career, but he got second. But, Bottas, he'll look at that race and think, if I'm going to contend for this championship, that's a race that slipped out for me, really.
Yeah, and I was also thinking the last few laps as well is that if he wants to keep this seat, he's sort of got to not dive down there and risk, crashing, but he does need to show why he's in that Mercedes car. And I was watching him thinking, go on, Bottas, come on, push it, because, you've only got a year left on this contract. You really have to prove yourself to warrant being there next year. And, a lot of people said if Hamilton was in the same position, Hamilton probably would have overtaken Vettel. I'm not so sure because Vettel was doing well to defend it.
I think he managed it very well.
Yeah, I think he was doing a good job to stop Bottas getting past. He was using the right lines on the circuit, and he did a good job to defend it. So I don't think Hamilton would have got past, and I think there might have been an issue with Bottas on the second to last lap. But once he'd lost it on the straight on the final lap, you knew that he probably wasn't going to get past him again, and it was Vettel's to win. But overall, good race for Bottas, and I think he started lower down the order, and he didn't do so well in Australia. So he just needs a bit more confidence. He's always one of them drivers that you look at him and you think, he looks low on confidence, or he just needs he needs victory. Just one victory, and he's back on the top. He's very much a confidence driver, I think. If he doesn't have the confidence, he struggles. But hopefully, we want more than just Vettel and Hamilton. We want quite a few drivers in there, and obviously we missed out with the 2 Red Bulls as well, so that's disappointing as well.
Yeah, speaking of Lewis Hamilton, when he was on the podium and David Coulthard came on there and did the interviews, he asked Hamilton if he was happy with it. Hamilton did say, I'm happy with it. I was 9th at the start because of the grid penalty of the changing the gearbox. There'll be a few of them this season. If you're new to F1, it's just a normal thing. That apart from the engine change,
let's not talk about that. We
had
a rant last week, didn't we?
So bad. But Hamilton will take that as a good race. Maybe. Do you think there's any moments in the race he'll look back at and think could have done better with the pit stop strategy? But there was one moment actually where there was a lot of radio talk, and he was wondering, what can I do to get near Vettel? What can I do to still win this race? And they were trying to ask him for options. And then he kept saying, it was the engineer who said he couldn't hear him. But we could hear Hamilton quite clear, and we're just listening from a fan seat. So
I think he was just getting annoyed with the amount of stuff that Hamilton kept coming on the race. I can't hear you.
Yeah, he's probably just like, this isn't Mercedes. This is a Pizza Express in Bahrain. What would you like with your... Oh, it's Hamilton. Hey.
Welcome. You have called.
I can listen to you on the TV right now. I've got no problems.
Yeah, I don't know really what was going on with Lewis Hamilton. He was trying to see, which was it low 34s that the engineer said that he needed to do, and Hamilton was like, well, how low? How low in the 34s do I need to go? But I'm not sure why he was asking all them questions, because could he really have caught Vettel? He was already ahead of him. If Vettel had pitted, he would be 3 seconds ahead of him already. So, he was closer to Bottas than Vettel. So I'm not sure why he kept going on about it. If you know, please let me know why he was doing that. But I didn't understand, and I thought he was causing a lot of. He was going to get stressed in the car for some reason.
Yeah, but he does get stressed quite easily, doesn't he, Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah, it only takes something to sort of get him upset in the car. But at the end of the day, starting ninth and finishing on the podium in 3rd. If you're not winning, you want as much points as possible, and especially for the team as well, to get both Mercedes 2nd and 3rd. It's it's good for them, so you'd be happy with it.
Obviously, Pierre Gasly getting 4th for Toro Rosso. I'm surprised we didn't have anything like vamos, ondele. I have no idea what my languages are. I can't even speak English. I'm more drunk than English. But that's a typical English bloke or an Irish bloke. But anyway, what am I going on about today? I'm half asleep. But Pierre Gasly getting 4th. This is his 2nd season F1. He came into F1 at the end of last year. So this is like his 10th. I don't know how many races, but that's not many races to get your 4th place. And he was up there throughout most of the race as well. So there was no one really threatening him. Maybe Haas could have, maybe McLaren or Renault, but he did so well to stay up there on a circuit where there is overtakes.
Yeah, I think he really showed an experienced head in that race. He started obviously in the same position with thanks to Lewis Hamilton having his grid penalties, but to maintain that and throughout the pit stops and the overtaking and blue flags and all that, to keep it in the same position and finish the race in fourth is a tremendous achievement, for the Toro Rosso and for the engine supplier in Honda, who've had a terrible time, and we've been slating them for years. Sure? And well, yeah, I think we are. We've absolutely slated them for a few years now, and for that engine to continue. And Brendan Hartley finished the race as well, so both Honda power units finished the race, and it's a tremendous achievement. And I have to say, it sounds good as well.
It does, yes.
If you listen to it, I think it does. It sounds one of the best engines, and thankfully, not only does it sound good, it's delivering at the minute as well.
It's delivering better than McLaren.
Yeah. Can you imagine their looks on that when they finished fourth in that Honda power? It's like, oh no.
What if Toro Rosso finished higher than McLaren in the constructors? Can you imagine that now at the end of the season?
Zach Brown is like, I'll quit.
I'll quit. Yeah. I'll go back to IndyCar.
Alonso goes to Toro Rosso next season. Hi guys.
No, he ends up the car blows up. He's like, is it just me? Is it just me, Honda? Just be honest and tell me face to face.
But yeah, tremendous achievement, and like we said before, the emotion that was on the mechanics and the team at Toro Rosso at the end of the race. It was like they won the season.
It was great. Yeah, I loved it.
It was tremendous. They really showed a lot of passion, and it means a lot. It's not just the top teams; it's the lower teams as well. To get a fourth place for them is a great achievement.
I think that's what I liked about Toro Rosso and Ferrari yesterday, because it's not just the drivers, is it? The drivers are always saying it's the team that do it. We're just there to drive the car, and it's true. And these mechanics spend hours on end throughout the night in some Grand Prix, because if a car crashes in practice or qualifying before race day, they've got to stay there to mend it till whenever. They might not get any sleep before race day. So, they might be awake for 48. It's crazy how many hours, but in exchange, they get to travel the world and work with these people. But, it's still a job. A job is a job. We're there to see entertainment. They're there to produce the entertainment. And that's what I liked about yesterday, because it shows to you that it's like their religion. They've got to do well. And that's what I love about Ferrari, because I'm saying this now. Ferrari is a team. Mercedes is a successful team, but they're not the long run in my eyes. They are not. They are there for a money-making way. I'm not saying the team who work there are doing it for the money. They're doing it as well, but I'm not excited for Mercedes. People. They're the top people, and I'm not that excited for them. Ferrari have been there since the sport started, and the passion was there yesterday with the Italian national anthem, and even Vettel's getting involved. And we all know how well a German can be at Ferrari if we talk about Michael Schumacher as well. So they know how to win for Ferrari. Germany and Italy, if only they got on well in football. They just don't ever beat the Germans, do they, Italy? But in motorsport, it works for both.
And I'd say, the point where you said how passionate they are and how hard the mechanics work, and it shows. And you look on the other side of that, from how well Toro Rosso were. You look at Red Bull. Max Verstappen's mechanics had to work probably into the evening to fix his car from qualifying. Yeah, and then 3 laps in, both cars are out.
Exactly, and the race ends at, what was it? The qualifying would have ended just after 7 o'clock at night, so that's later than normal on a race day. Sorry, on a qualifying day.
Yeah, and then like you said, a couple of laps into the race, both cars are out, and they're packing up. Yeah. With 15 laps into the race, both teams are packing up, and the drivers are saying bye, and we'll see you in Shanghai. And it's crazy that one team can be so passionate, and it's the sister team of Red Bull, isn't it, Toro Rosso? So one half's really happy and really passionate about something, and then the others are just like, oh well, we're all packing up. Oh, is this yours? Oh, this is yours. And it's crazy. And but that's the sport we want to watch. We want to see one side prevailing, one side not. We want to see that. We don't want to see it boring all the time, and it certainly didn't in Bahrain.
Let's talk about Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen didn't even finish a lap, pretty much. What was it? Max Verstappen's rear tyre basically damaged the car as well, even though he wanted to change his wheel. And then Daniel Ricciardo got caught, and he had to go off the circuit as well and basically walk back to the garage. So, for Red Bull, it's only 2 races in, but if these are meant to be if they're meant to be the third team contending for these championships, it's slowly moving. It could quickly be out of their hands after 2 races.
Yeah, we say it's a long calendar, but if the teams around you get points straight away and you struggle, it's quite a high mountain to climb. We've been saying this and for years. Max Verstappen is he's a future champion, of course he is, but he hasn't had the best start to the season. He struggled in the race in Australia. He did a couple of spins and he didn't look his best there. And qualifying in Bahrain, he crashed out. It might not have been his fault. It was a sort of power issue. I think they said he got 134 more horsepower going into that corner than was supposed to. And I don't know what happened there, but but he still crashed out and finished, what was it, 15th or something in qualifying, something like that. So he had a mountain to climb in that phase, and then clashed with Hamilton and got a puncture and couldn't contain it. I think there was a differential problem as well. Probably the fact that when he crashed and he had to go all the way around the circuit with 3 tyres, and that caused a major issue. But
did well to get that far.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't tell him to go because it was a safety thing. I was surprised they didn't tell him to just pull over. But
yeah, we just invented the halo. Hello.
Yeah, we'll be okay. But yeah, for Red Bull, it's a bitter pill to swallow because I think they could have been quite tasty in that race. They were in contention. They had a fast car. Both drivers said that they had a good car for the weekend, and to both be out within a few laps, it's disappointing. But Shanghai, I don't really see Shanghai as a Red Bull track. I see it more as a Mercedes
Austria is
track.
a Red Bull track because they own it,
Yeah. But I don't see Shanghai as theirs. I see it as sort of a Mercedes track. So that one's going to be difficult for them as well. So it's a bit annoying for them because I think they could have got some good points in that race.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Kevin Magnussen. He finished 5th for Haas.
Finally got points.
Finally got points. I mean, I like how we say finally. It's only the second race, but it does feel like it feels like it's been forever. But no, that's a good result because that's what they wanted, to have no mistakes in the pit lane. So, credit to the mechanics. They got it spot on with their pit stops this time. Let's be honest, they probably would have got fired this time if they weren't careful. But, that's a good result. This is what we want. This is what we wanted to see from Haas because it wasn't a fluke back in Australia.
No, and we said after the Australian race is that underneath all that, they have a good car. And they have a fast car, and they showed that, to be in 5th and fighting with the Renault and the McLaren and everything. So, they did a good job. But the only thing that did make me laugh a little bit is that the driver battles between teammates, where Magnussen was having a little bit of a word about what Grosjean was doing. I thought that was a bit intriguing.
Well, he's got to be careful because he needs mates. He's going to lose his teammate at this rate. No one likes Magnussen.
Are they even close as teammates? But,
probably not.
But yeah, he had some choice words to say about his teammate in that sense. But I think he was right to do so because he had the faster car with the newer tires, and it was just like just get out of my way, just get out of my way politely. But yeah, 5th place for them, and they needed that because of how well or how not so good Australia finished, and. I think everybody in that team needed it, and as much as they didn't show it after the race, I think they were all deep down, satisfied with the result that came.
Obviously, we'll move on from that. Nico Hulkenberg 6th for Renault, so a good result there from the German. Fernando Alonso for 7th for McLaren, so a good result there. Just as good as Australia. So consistency. Good for a change instead of consistently bad for the British team. Yeah,
I think that's a bit of a surprise. I mean, it came into qualifying and they finished. They didn't even get into Q3, and we thought, oh no, was that first race just a fluke? What's going on? And I think they said we've got some problems here, and they had to have an emergency meeting, as some people called it, before the race on Sunday. But again. Was it Fernando Alonso? You said made up 5 places in the first.
First few
lap,
laps.
and
Crazy.
he overtook Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. He was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Whoa, hang on, Fernando. That's in the past.
I think even Lewis must have gone, "Whoa, what? There's this orange thing in front of me."
You tango.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, but I think ultimately they had a good race, and like you said, consistency. I think that's the word that they want to use at the minute. That's what they need. They need consistent points.
No, they had consistency. They're just consistently bad.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably right. They just need to switch the way they are consistent.
Oh, switch it on.
But yeah, Stoffel Van Dorn as well. He was struggling to start. He was actually last, I think, after the first lap.
He didn't have a great start.
But finished 8th.
He did.
So
he did. Yeah.
Again, a good consistent. We're going to keep using this word, consistency.
Yeah, consistency.
But good consistency.
It's in McLaren's dictionary now.
Yeah, that's every time we speak about McLaren, that's a word that's going to come up at the minute. But
Wait, what do you mean they used to have a bad engine? I can't remember that.
oh yeah, I know.
I
know.
Wow.
Well, Toro Rosso don't know about that either.
They've got a good engine.
But no, good for McLaren. Yeah.
I mean, this is another one. Marcus Ericsson 9th for Sauber. You know, well, that's great for Sauber. That's 2 points, probably more than last season. I know they got points last season. I can't remember how many.
Well, Marcus Ericsson certainly didn't get any.
Yes. I mean, Sweden are good at Eurovision. They're not normally good at motorsport, but Marcus Ericsson's doing all right.
Yeah, it was 49. I think it was 49 races without scoring a single point. 2015, I think his last points were. So,
but in all fairness, he must feel so lucky because forms like that can get you out of F1.
Yeah, well, but yeah, to be fair, it was a strange thing to see him on the grid this year because of how bad not just him but the team as a whole last year were. And I think Pascal Wehrlein probably did a better job than him last year.
Yeah,
but with what happened with contracts or something, he didn't.
Something tells me he'll come back though.
Yeah. But I think Marcus Ericsson obviously did get a little bit lucky, the fact that he's back on the grid. But to finish 9th in that Sauber, who I think now have overtaken Williams. They
probably have
in the sort of performance area because Williams are just nowhere at the minute.
No.
And for them to get a point, they're already ahead of them in the constructors as well. So yeah, good day for Sauber as well.
Yeah, Esteban Ocon got the final point. He had a bit of an up and down race, which Force India are having at the moment, aren't they? They're not as strong as they probably were last season, but they are the long run, aren't they, Force India? They sometimes have a great first half of the season, then the second half can be bad. But this season, it might be the other way around. It might even be really bad this season. But they've got a point, that's important maybe in the long run anyway.
Yeah, I think Bob Fernley said it. They're one of their chief guys was that they didn't have the best start last year, especially in Australia. They sort of had the same sort of challenge as what they had this season. So I don't think it's going to be a major factor with Force India. I still think that they're going to be there, but it might just take a little bit longer because they look like they haven't made as much progression as maybe some of the other teams have. But again, you look at Williams as an example. I don't think they've made any progression. I think it's the same car as last year. And with F1, you can't do that. You can't have the same car because it's always changing. There's always stuff going on.
But you can keep the colours.
Yeah.
Pink.
Well, Martini wasn't on it, but is that because it was in Bahrain?
He might, that'll be because there's no alcohol,
There's
is there?
There's no thing. But I think Williams are really, really looking rubbish. Really, if I'm honest, it's not great to say that as a British fan.
They could be last this season.
Yeah, I think they probably could.
Yeah.
The way that they're going, and obviously Sauber, getting in the mix with a point or a couple of points, that's what they need, and the teams at the bottom, need to grab all them points. And at the minute, Williams don't look like they're going to get anywhere.
Let's look at the rest of the pack that didn't get points. Carlos Sainz just not rubbing in. It's the truth. Carlos Sainz 11th, Charles Leclerc 12th, Grosjean of Haas getting 13th. Grosjean will be probably annoyed to be lapped with his car doing really well at the moment because let's be honest, it's all about that momentum in F1 where the car might not do so great in other circuits to come. Lance Stroll and Williams with Sergei Sorokin getting 14th and 15th, and then Sergio Perez, not great as a Perez fan myself. Good thing I'm not wearing my Mexico football shirt today. Brendan Hartley 17th for Toro Rosso, which makes him look a little bit awful with Gasly in 4th, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he have a 10-second penalty.
He did, yeah. That was at the start as well,
yeah,
wasn't it?
for something that happened. Then there was something going on with him and Perez on the formation. I didn't.
Perez got away with it, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's always Perez, isn't it, Jamie?
What?
But
I'll give you a death stare.
But yeah, I don't know what was going on the formation. That they said they were going to do something about it after the race, but I didn't say anything about it. But yeah, Brendan Hartley. For him being right at the back and for Gasly to finish 4th, there was obviously some issues there. Obviously, the 10-second penalty is going to make a difference, but yeah, he needs to show a little bit more. It's his first season somewhat in F1, full season, should we say, and I suppose he's got time to do that, but he needs to do a little bit better than that, I think.
Absolutely. And the retirements were Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo of Red Bull, but let's just quickly mention Kimi Raikkonen because we do send our wishes on behalf of the Pole Position podcast and Let's Talk Sport to the mechanic who broke his leg from it. And it was nasty. I actually did watch it back on YouTube, and it did not land in a good way at all. But let's talk about this. Why is this happening in F1 as well? Why do we still have this thing? Because we had it with Haas in Australia, and now we have it with Ferrari in Bahrain, where a pit stop has not gone well. Luckily for Haas, it didn't injure anyone, but in fact, instead it ruined their race performance. This one, it did half of that, but also break someone's leg.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to be in charge of the insurance for that, because they're going to have to sort something out about that.
Yeah, I think Ferrari were fined £50,000 for a what's the word when they let them go without
unsafe release.
Yeah, unsafe release. You're right. So that they were fined for that, but that's not the problem. It's the fact that something needs to be sorted out about how they do it. I don't know whether it's electrical or what going on, whether there's sensors, but as soon as the car goes down and the light goes green, Kimi Räikkönen's going no matter what.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. He doesn't see anything around him. He's not checking his mirrors. He's just waiting for that green light to come on. So as soon as it comes on, he's gone, and he didn't see it, and he didn't know what was going on, and there's nothing that can be done about it. It's a terrible error. And a terrible accident, but it needs to be sorted out a bit. And you've mentioned before how the lollipop needs to come back in and properly. And normally there's a couple of guys at the front. There used to be a couple of guys at the front. One obviously with the trolley, and then there'd be somebody like you said with the lollipop to sort of. Clarify that you can go, because he's checking the back and he's checking the surroundings that Kimi Räikkönen can't see. So, I think there's something needs to be done, because obviously, like you said, Haas happened in the first race wasn't as serious as the one that happened for Ferrari, and obviously causing injury is never a good thing, and we don't want that in the sport no matter what. And something needs to be done about it, because if there's a green light, like I said, the driver's just going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, we asked you on Twitter as well, another poll for you to fill in. I'm sure you enjoyed it just as much as I did, finding out the results. We asked for your F1 driver of the day, and that was Sebastian Vettel, just edging past Pierre Gasly, as Vettel got 45% and the Frenchman got 40%. Hamilton got 5% because of his driving from 9th to 3rd, but I guess that's standard for a world champion like Hamilton. And for Other, it was 10%. But we didn't get any comments for the drivers, no problem. But again, it could even be Brendan Hartley. It could be. And why not?
Yeah, he finished.
Yeah, he finished. Better than Red Bull. Toro Rosso are the best. Love it. We will, of course, select our driver of the day on our next YouTube video, which you'll find on the Let's Talk Sport YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. And before we go, we will preview the Chinese Grand Prix in just a moment. But let's look at the standings for the drivers. Sebastian Vettel, 17 points after 2 wins ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And Valtteri Bottas with 3rd. Fernando Alonso 4th with 16. At least he's up there. He's ahead of Kimi Räikkönen. That's that's actually really good. I didn't know that. Nico Hülkenberg 6th. Pierre Gasly 7th. Ricciardo 8th. We have Max Verstappen 10th with Magnussen 9th. And then if we go all the way at the bottom, yes, Williams are last with Brendan Hartley, actually. And the nil points are Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, Romain Grosjean, Lance Stroll, and as I mentioned, Sirotkin and Brendan Hartley as well. And the constructors, well, as expected, Ferrari ahead, only by 10 points, though, of Mercedes. And McLaren are 3rd. This is great. Red Bull are 4th. So really, that double retirement has done wonders for McLaren, but there are still 19 races to go. Quickly preview China. Mm-hmm. It's not my favorite, but it's on there. It's great for the attraction, the fans. The Chinese love F1. There's a big crowd. It's like a massive stadium stand where the straight line is.
It's like an airplane wing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's an incredible circuit, but it's just not done it for me over the last few years. Are you looking forward to it?
Not really. In terms of the track, no. In terms of what we've seen from this weekend and the fact that it's only a week away, yes. I think if we go back to the fact that is it an actual race circuit? Yeah. So it's not a street circuit. Are we going to see overtaking? Well, there's a few straights on there, especially the main back straight around the corner. Yeah, there's a lot of places for overtaking. So I think there's definite opportunity from what we've seen this weekend to come back into next week. So hopefully we're going to see as much as what we have this week.
What you going to go as your top 3?
Oh, I always get this wrong. So,
if you don't try, you don't win the lottery.
No. So I think Lewis Hamilton to win this weekend with Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas in third.
Interesting. Okay, so that was your top 3 from Jack, and thank you very much, Jack Price, as always, for the Pole Position podcast. We'll be back next week for the review of the Chinese Grand Prix. Who will win? Who will win that first race for Mercedes? I don't know why I just said that, because it could even be Ferrari, it could even be McLaren, it could even be Haas,
Brendan Hartley,
Toro Rosso. It's that crazy. Red Bull. I'll say that they'll probably win on the weekend. But anyway, put your predictions below, comment below. Make sure you subscribe to Let's Talk Sport, and stay tuned for the next one next week. Thank you for watching.